If you're planning to take 2025 a lot more seriously than you did 2024, these are my tips on how to create the best vision board, the best vision planning for your dream life. Especially if you feel incredibly motivated to achieve more of your goals or to make more progress towards your goals, keep on watching because I have some tips and tricks and new things that I'm going to be doing so that I can create the best vision board possible and actually make these visions into reality. I actually made a lot of goals into reality despite being quite unfocused this year, and towards the tail end of the year I got back on track and I really got a lot more clarity, which has helped me a lot in figuring out my goals and my visions. This is perfect for if you are someone who is quite focused or someone who gets easily sidetracked like me, but you have the vision in mind, but you just need the guardrails to remind you of where to go. This will definitely help you stay on track even when you get unfocused throughout the year, because let's face it, it's inevitable. You're gonna get sidetracked, distracted, life happens, but it's always great to make sure that you have a place that has all of your visions and your goals outlined so that you can always return to it when you feel like you're off track. So let's get right into it. So my name is Karami and I make these kinds of videos where we talk about goals and motivation and beauty and lifestyle. So if you're interested in that, keep on watching. So I will say, the traditional collage of photos and motivational quotes and words that really speak to you, that did really help me in 2024 because I set that as my wallpaper on my computer. So every time I open my computer, which was like every day, I would be reminded of the vision that I wanted for 2024 and for my dream life. So that helped stay as a reminder for me. However, I did realize that despite how fun and motivating and nice it was to have that collage that I could look at all the time, it wasn't the best at keeping me on track. It worked great as a reminder, but there wasn't really an action plan. There wasn't really a list of habits that I needed to make sure each image that I had on the collage was being fulfilled. So that meant I would have to create those routines, those habits in the moment in a way, and then just remember to write it down, which one thing about me, I got too much going on in this head. So if I don't write it down immediately, I'm gonna forget. So that was the one thing that I noticed this year that didn't really help me stay on track. If I had a written out action plan for each of the images in the collage, that could have helped. So that would have been a lot more helpful in helping me stay on track because like I said in a previous video, which I'll link at the top, I was quite unfocused this year, but I was still able to make a lot of my dreams come true. And if you want to learn more about that, just check out that video because I have a lot of stories and examples that may be useful to you. And so what we should be doing and what I'm going to be doing for 2025 to create the best vision plan, vision board, whatever you want to call it, is one, I'm going to be assessing my wins from 2024. Despite not achieving everything, I realized I did achieve a lot of things and a lot of things that I didn't even realize I would be achieving. They were not on my vision board, but hey, they came true. So I'm going to assess my wins no matter how big or small. And the reason why I'm going to start with assessing my wins is because it's definitely a lot more easy to assess where you failed or where you fell short. However, I want to reframe my thinking, which is what I've been doing a lot at the end of this year, thinking about the best case scenario versus the worst case scenario. And that means thinking about what I did great, no matter how small or how big. So I'm going to assess my wins. This can really help your brain work harder because now it's an exercise to think back on all of the times you won or you achieved something instead of thinking about the easiest moment where you failed. Because like I said, that's usually at the forefront of your brain. It's usually something that kept you up at night or something that you beat yourself up about because you procrastinated, whatever it is. But when you're able to work your brain harder to figure out where you won, that can really help you shift your mindset into thinking about being in your successful era and being an achiever versus being a failure. So the reason why I'm going to assess my wins as well is because I am noticing that when I look at where I achieve something, there are patterns. There are patterns that I didn't realize I had done in one instance that I did in the similar instance where I was successful. So when you're able to notice these patterns, that is how you're going to create the habits and the tasks that you're going to continue into 2025, because clearly those patterns worked in your favor because they worked out in one situation and they worked out in another. And because you're noticing these patterns and you're writing them out into habits that you can continue each day or each week, these routines can help you create the discipline that is needed to achieve the visions that you have on your vision board. And discipline is so key. I think it's way better to have discipline over rebranding or reinventing yourself every year or every 6 months, because I just don't know how you can have discipline if you're always changing up your habits, you're always changing up who you are so consistently. You haven't even been able to ingrain those habits into yourself. And now you're changing it up so quickly, so rash, without seeing if those habits that you had before you rebranded again actually worked out in your favor. So I suggest that you assess your wins and you notice any patterns that are similar throughout those successful points. So for example, for me, what I've noticed so far is that in the places where I achieved and I was successful through my vision board, one habit or one pattern that I noticed is waking up early. Being an early bird really helped me become successful in certain parts of my life because I was able to do activities that I really enjoy doing in the morning and doing activities that I may have not really liked to do early in the morning because I have to force myself to get up and I have to wake my body up. But now I've come to really cherish, and if I don't do it in the morning, I feel like something's missing. So for example, making sure I do some kind of movement or fitness in the morning. And that has been really helpful for my health goals. Being an early bird has helped me in my health goals. It has also helped me in my content creation goals because in the mornings, that's when I can look at emails, that's when I can edit, that's when I can brainstorm content. And it's been such a great habit that I've ingrained in me. And then you're obviously going to write out your mistakes and failures because we do have to see where we fell short and why we fell short. When you write out those mistakes, as we all know, you are able to really see what doesn't work well. You can see where you may have limited yourself, because a lot of times our brain and our negative thoughts and our imposter syndrome can hinder us from continuing habits that we need to create and achieve the dream life that we're putting on that vision board. And you don't want to be too harsh on yourself because you're already annoyed that you didn't complete certain things on your vision board, but you can just take a realistic assessment of where you failed, write it out, and then you can see where you can improve on that, or you can see and understand whether that goal was even really meant for you. Maybe it was something that you heard or you saw on someone else's vision board and you thought that could be cool to add to your life, but maybe it was just misaligned with your life. So for your 2025 vision board, you definitely want to make sure you have your goals and your visions and your dreams. Obviously, you want that there, but you also want to make sure that you are setting aside time to have fun and adventures. What I realized this year is that although I have like travel on my vision board and like friends and things like that on my vision board, I didn't really write in like adventure or just spontaneous excursions. I didn't write anything like that because I just know like in my life I have those kinds of moments, but I had a lot of that this year, even though it wasn't on my vision board. And like I said, I know that's something that usually happens in my life because I am quite a spontaneous person when I want to be. And the reason why I think it's important to either have that in your vision board if you're not quite a spontaneous person, or if you are a spontaneous person, just to remind yourself to like let go and be free sometimes, is that is where you have so much self-growth. That is where you have so many experiences that you couldn't even name. You can't even put that on your vision board. You know what I mean? You wouldn't even expect those experiences to happen. And if you are someone who really wants to have more growth in your life, more exciting memories, I would suggest that you remind yourself to set aside time in 2025 to have some adventure in your life. Maybe have 1 to 2 big adventures, whether that's a travel, whether that's an event you go to, a conference, something that's big that'll take you out of your comfort zone would be incredible to add to your vision board because that is where you're going to make new experiences, meet new people, learn about yourself, especially if it's a solo adventure. I know I talk about solo adventures, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in 2025 as well in video. So if you're excited, let me know. That's where you're really gonna grow, and that's really where you're gonna transform into the person that you really want to be. And then make sure you set aside time for like mini adventures. These don't have to be as extravagant or as expensive, let's be honest, as traveling or going to a conference or an event or whatever festival, whatever the big adventure is. These can be smaller. These can be things that are in your city or outside of your city that you've been curious about, or this can be a new hobby that you pick up that is exciting and new and is going to teach you a lot of different skills or teach you a lot about yourself. Just make sure you set aside time for mini adventures and big adventures in 2025, because little do you know that could push you way more into your dream life than any kind of planning could. And so I mentioned in the beginning that having a collage was a great reminder, and I may still do that, but I think for 2025, I'm gonna play around with having Pinterest boards where I have different categories for my vision. So I'll have a category for health, I have a category for career, I have a category for this, that, and the third, and I'll have that visually on my phone as well. And that'll be easy because I'm always on Pinterest anyways, just for inspiration. So that'll be easy just to add different types of photos that inspire me or that motivate me towards my goals. And then I'm gonna definitely create an action plan in Notion. I think would be the best platform for me at the moment to write out, like I said, write out the habits and the task and sort of like the vibe that I need in order to achieve X vision on my board. So that can help, like I said, put together the guardrails that are needed when you get a little bit unfocused or sidetracked so that you can just always return back to where you need to go. There's also this Japanese philosophy that I recently learned about called Ikigai, and there's a book about this. The authors created this concentric circle, and here is the image. And what I really liked about this framework, and I'm going to do it myself, is that it's a mix of what you want to do, but also what would make you money, what the world needs. And there's another point that I'm missing, but it's all of these circles and they come together in the middle. And that middle point is supposed to help you figure out what your dream goal is, or if you're trying to find a new career, what your dream career could be that you should try out. So if you're interested in maybe more of an active way of creating your dream life, I would suggest looking into Ikigai and the concentric circle method and see if that works for you and helps get your brain running. So those are my tips for a successful envisioning planning for 2025. And I can't believe this is the last video that I'm posting for 2024, but if you made it this far, thank you so much for sticking around this year. We're gonna have so much more content coming out next year because I am a lot more consistent and I have so many things already planned out. So I can't wait to see you guys next year. Happy New Year and stay safe and have a great one.